We're on the road again. Follow us as we travel around the northeastern parts of the Wheatbelt area of Western Australia. We meet some amazing people with interesting stories and have a look at a bit of the history of the region. We stay in some amazing campsites. We go from freezing our backsides off to sweating the same backsides off in the heat, then get sent packing as a wild storm approaches. We stumble across a private collection of artefacts and go to some amazing museums. And disaster strikes that almost finishes some of the group members' holidays before it starts. So come with us now as we ride the Wheatbelt Way. Hey, g'day folks. Welcome to our fourth video in this series of the Wheatbelt Way. If you haven't seen any of the other ones, then at the end of this video there will be a link to where you can have a look at the first three videos. When we finished off last week, we had a bit of a disaster, and the rest of our group continued on to the Beacon caravan park while I transported the broken down car back to Perth, and we've got another car brought up so that those people could continue on the trip. I'd like to say a special thanks to the two ladies that run that Beacon caravan park. They were outstanding in helping the rest of the group get into camp and get set up. It's only a little caravan park, but they helped them out quite nicely, so I'd just like to say thanks for that. If you happen to be watching, or if somebody knows them, let them know we said thanks, you know. Anyway, in this video we'll have a little bit of a look around Beacon, and then we're going to continue east, getting up to that northeastern corner of the Wheatbelt area, and got a couple of little stops along the way before we get to a really good bush camp. Anyway, let's get into it. Morning folks, how you going? Been a long night. We were coming in towards Beacon yesterday, and one of the cars broke down. So I've just spent the last 15-16 hours driving between Perth or here in Perth, to go back and get a car trailer, come up here and pick the car up, went back to Perth, took the car back down, come back up here. So we only got here this morning, but it looks like it's going to be quite a nice, the old school bell. Must be school time. Yeah, look, 10 to 9. They gave the old school bell out here. I reckon that's neat. Anyway, back to the subject. Yeah, so I've been carting backwards and forwards for that last 15 hours, and the rest of the group spent the night at the Beacon caravan park, and they've been really great up here. Really highly recommend them as far as like helping out and providing a service and that. I'm not going to do a review on the caravan park because it's very small. It's just a couple of caravan spots over there, and over there is a couple of rooms you can rent, and the toilets are behind here, and that's about it. You know, it's very small. It's only a small, tiny little town. But I don't really know if we're on day 3 or day 4 because it's all been skewed up now. So, but we'll go around and have a look around Beacon, which probably won't take very long, and we'll see where we go from there. One of the places worth having a look at is the sculptures in the bush. Look, it's not no Louvre, but it shows what you can do with a little junk and some imagination, and a bit of skill thrown in as well. So this is the town of Beacon. There's not a lot of information on the internet about this place. About all I could find was on Wikipedia, and that wasn't a lot either. But basically our old mate John Septimus Rowe, he came out here in 1836, had a bit of a look around, and then in the 1870s and 80s, sandalwood cutters and shepherds were out around this area. About 50 years after that, another surveyor came out, and H. King was his name, and he started charting the area, and in 1921 the first settlers arrived after they carved the land up into 1,000-acre lots. Something probably more for the blokes is the Tractor and Farm Machinery Museum at the Men's Shed. I can remember these Steigers first showing up. They were the latest thing in high grunt and tech for the day, and they sounded pretty good when they were working in a distant paddock. While walking around looking at the machinery at the Men's Shed, a bloke came up to us who once owned a ye-old lolly shop, and he had a little display in the old chapel and asked if we were interested in having a look. By now the events of the night before were really starting to catch up to me, so I sent my #1 camera person and pretend reporter along to have a look.
No, you gotta make face that way, say cheese. Ready? Say hi, Pa. Hi, Pa.
It's quite interesting, actually. But it's really funny. I love it. It's probably 10 or 15 sculptures. Ask any questions you want.
What a perfect morning.
Oh, go away.
With the breakdown behind us, we were ready to continue the road trip. First up is the pack up camp, and by now everyone was getting pretty good at packing up their camps with little fuss. This is the abandoned town of Wialki, we think it's pronounced, insert name here. The place was gazetted in 1933, and once upon a time it would have had houses along here, shops along here. Just behind here is where the old church was. It was consecrated in 1954 by one of the monks from New Norcia. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link up here. But I'm not surprised it's abandoned now. I mean, we're only 50 kilometres from Beacon, and really this is kind of like the top northeast corner of the Wheatbelt area. Another about 25 kilometres further north of here and the Wheatbelt stops and the mining region starts. So we're right at the very top of the area. About the only thing left here is the working wheat silos and this new looking building with the tennis courts out the back. In the corner is a gravel pit that is listed as an overnight camp spot. You know, while you're travelling around, if you don't do a little bit of research of where you are, you could go past something that's really interesting. This probably isn't it, but let's have it anyway. This paddock here behind the trees, a pretty ordinary looking paddock, but in 2016 it became the focus of the world when it was the end of a world record event. A 65-year-old Russian fella took off in his balloon from Northam, just east of Perth, and flew 200 and something kilometres and landed here. Hang on a minute, that don't seem right. No, wait, he flew all the way around the world first and then landed here. 11 days to get around the world, and he broke the 14-year record. And when he got out of his little capsule, the first thing he was heard to say was,
"Ah, this does not look like Moscow."
Bonnie Rock, another one of those towns that have long disappeared, at least with the residents anyway. It was gazetted in the 1930s, even had its own local newspaper, and that's about all I could find on the place. There are still signs of life here with the grain handling facility. They have a huge holding area, even though they're at the edge of the farming region. They must produce a fair amount of crop here. There's even a pony club down the road. There is a camping area here with a male and female toilets and hot showers for a donation. Our next stop is another campsite that we'll be stopping at for 2 nights. By all accounts, it's a very popular spot, and so I'm hoping that there's room for us, but that's for another video. So if you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up, that helps the channel out, and don't forget to subscribe down the bottom and hit the bell next to it, because that will let you know when there is another video being uploaded. Alright, so till next time, happy travels.